I would mention that ICC has been active in Northeast since 1998. And our engagement started when, under the Ministry of Home Affairs, the Department of Northeast Development was formed. Since then, we have been working closely, and then Ministry of Donor was formed. And when the Ministry of Donor was formed in the first year, ICC and Ministry of Donor jointly, under the leadership of the then Minister of Donor, Shri Arun Shauriji, we hosted the first business summit on Northeast. The second business summit was inaugurated by Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, Honorable Prime Minister that time, and the closing was attended by Honorable Shri uh, Advani ji, that time who was the Deputy PM. And huge progress has been made since then in last 20 years. I think we have seen Northeast uh, coming to the center stage, coming to the prominence and getting due importance. And especially in last 7 years, Honorable Prime Minister Modi has laid special focus on Northeast. And it is a result of that only that we have Shri Amit Shah ji joining us today. And he attaches huge importance to Northeast development. Government is making all efforts. And among all the states, Assam has the largest share, and Assam also closely engages and supports all the states of Northeast. Honorable Chief Minister of Assam, Mr. Himanta Biswa Sharma, has been closely working and engaging with all the states, and he has also been very, very supportive of ICC. Today, we are happy to have Honorable Minister of Industry of Assam with us. Uh, Sir, our agenda today, because we thought Honorable Home Minister will be joining us. So we all thought we could have your guidance on what you think Northeast really needs. And maybe you could also mention what Assam is doing and how Assam is moving ahead. Yesterday, we had a session with Sri uh, Jyotiraditya Scindia, who mentioned that Assam has already taken very proactive steps to enhance the airline connectivity with the neighboring countries. So I would request you, sir, maybe you could share your thoughts on what Assam is doing. And secondly, what you think Northeast really needs to become one of the most prominent region of the country. Over to you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Rajivji. And good morning, everyone. And Rajivji, thank you so much. After a long time, see you. And Shaurya ji also, and President, and my friends, and ladies and gentlemen present in this conclave. So actually, I was on tour. So from Sirang district, actually, I joined because when Shaurya ji yesterday requested me. So anyway, it's good. So Amit Shah ji will join when? From 11 o'clock or
11:30, sir.
11:30?
Earlier it was 11, but now there is a little delay. So his office has now informed us that he will join 11:30.
Yes, yes. So first of all, I'd like to extend my heartiest thanks to ICC that you are giving more priorities for Assam and Northeast region. So now our whole concept of Northeastern region from 1988, you have been working here. And probably you might be knowing that because of the NEIIPP, the previous policy, actually most of the industries actually come to Assam actually. And I was the part of this formulating that NEIIP policy that time in 1997 because I was agriculture minister that time. So that was my concept actually. Though I was agriculture minister, but I requested our honorable chief minister, then chief minister Prafulla Mohanty, that just to avoid this or just to solve this extremist problem, we need to formulate some policies. So that policy ultimately came in 1997, and that policy attract most of the investors. So now, Rajivji, you know about Assam. Assam is now previously there is a concept that Assam and Northeast is in the corner of the country, but now that perspective is changed now. Now Assam is not the periphery, but the center of investment and center of Southeast Asian countries actually. and this is the best destination place to attract the Southeast Asian market where 80 crores populations are there. So in that perspective, actually, the connectivity was one important thing. So for regarding connectivity, already we are up to the mark of national highway. As Modi ji said, 5 ways. One is highways. So highways, we are up to the mark. And second is railway. Railway also, we are up to the mark. Electric railway already started here. And the third is airways. So airways, Sindhya ji, our Minister Aviation, Civil Aviation, yesterday he mentioned in his speech, as you have mentioned now, actually regarding airways. So when we came in 2016, so there were 60 flights actually operating from Guwahati Airport. Now 125 flights actually operating. Now one new airport, which was abandoned airport, Rupsi. So that is also we are making operable and we are expanding it. Now 140 acres land we are now going to take. We are just in touch with BTAD, and this airport also will be expanded. And like that, Lakhimpur Airport, Dibrugarh Airport, Jorhat Airport. So all airports we are expanding now. And good news is this: within this week, so tender will be floated for international Uran for 6 destinations from Guwahati: Guwahati Dhaka, Guwahati Kuala Lumpur, and Guwahati Kathmandu, Guwahati. So from Guwahati, 6 destinations. So we are a tender will be floated by Civil Aviation Department, and I hope for RCS, it is under RCS. So RCS policy for Assam and Northeastern region, we requested in previous government when that time also I was Industry and Transport Minister. So we requested that international Uran, one scheme, which should be actually, which should be covered by RCS policy. Because previously there was a flight from Guwahati to Dhaka. So because of the lack of passengers, ultimately it stopped. So now Government of India actually requested us, and we formulated the policy, and now international Uran for Assam and Northeastern region is covered by RCS. So we committed Government of India to pay 100 crores for PGF. And already we have paid 10 crores to Government of India as first installment, Government of India. And probably by God's grace, within December, so Assam will be connected with the 6 destinations of Southeast Asian countries under International Udan scheme. And one good news that yesterday we had cabinet. So in the cabinet, actually those routes which are not actually designated as RCS route, and those flights which
Sir, we are not able to hear you.
So you have to unmute yourself.
So I think his mobile maybe has got a call or something.
Okay.
Mongla and Chittagong port. So this time, from 1965, so this protocol was cancelled, and for the political reason. Now after Modi ji came, so Modi ji signed protocol with Government of India, and under his and because of which now we will be again connected with the ocean. So we are going to use this river already. Barak River is already dredged, and Brahmaputra is under dredging, and the part of Brahmaputra and Barak in Bangladesh, already Government of India has given 250 crores through ASEAN Development Bank to dredge this part belongs to Bangladesh. So water ways also we are now going to make like before independence what we were actually. This is number 4. And number 5 is highways. What is Modi ji said, connectivity regarding. So highways also, internet services now we stuck up here. So for internet service, actually to make it fast. So as Actis Policy Affairs Minister, now also I am Actis Policy Affairs Minister. So as Actis Policy Affairs Minister, we had many, conclave with Bangladesh, Myanmar, and other Southeast Asian countries. And I personally visited also those countries. So we requested in India-Bangladesh summit here in Assam, held in Assam, that in Cox's Bazar, there is a IT gate actually. So from that gate, actually, we requested Bangladesh that you give permission and give access to us. So they agreed. And by God's grace, if it is done, then internet service highways, which is highways, we call ethanol policy, like bamboo policy, export policy. So now Assam, as on today, we are exporting our fruits, vegetables to Abu Dhabi, Dubai, London, Hong Kong, and Singapore. Regularly, we are exporting. So it was not a dream actually. Once people could not see dream that from Assam every day we will be able to export. So that way, agriculture sector is also developed here, and export also given priority here in Assam, so that farmers are getting the real prices of their products. So this is one. And secondly, regarding ethanol policy, so 20% ethanol has to be mixed up with petrol. So already we have floated tender and 15 companies came here. We have selected 8 companies. So now it is one of the main, actually, as on today, around 2,000 crore investment is coming now. And it is about to work. Today, actually, yesterday night, I stayed in Bongaigaon refinery guest house. So ED Bongaigaon refinery, morning he come and meet me, and he requested me that actually one ethanol unit should be here nearby Bongaigaon refinery also. So we are considering that also. And secondly, what happens? Our bamboo policy also very nice. We are giving more incentive. Secondly, our state industrial policy also giving more, benefits to the investors. And secondly, the needs. Rajivji, you might be knowing, I was discussing with you, the new policy after NEIIPP needs. So needs actually not attracting actually investors. So now, 3 days back, we had a meeting with Piyush Goyalji. He came here. And Mr. Narayan Rane, our MSME minister, he also came here. So I attended that meeting, and we had a long, actually, interactive session with Piyushji also, and Mr. Narayan Rane also. And probably you will recall in one meeting organized by Ministry of Industry and Commerce by Piyush Goyalji in Ashoka Hotel, New Delhi. So in that meeting, I said that you don't call to such meeting because we can't compete with Maharashtra, Gujarat, and Haryana or advanced state. So special policy give us. Probably you remember I spoke these things 2 years back. So immediately he directed Invest India to formulate policy. So Invest India came to us and we have formulated policy, new policy. So 3 days back when we have interacted with Piyush Goyalji here at Guwahati, I said that you give us special policy, otherwise it's not possible for us. Then he agreed. He said that we are doing something definitely. So we are expecting a good policy this time. So this is also one good news for you and for our investors. And apart from that, yes. Apart from that, agar policy we have formulated here because agar wood is very much available here. So now agar wood is actually brought out from forest department and it become grass. So we are actually constructing one international agar center here, Golaghat. So that way, the total demand of the agar in the world now fulfill only 40%, 60% still there is deficit. So agar policy also we have formulated, and I hope one international market of agar also will be here. And secondly, our most important point that we are constructing this MMLP, multi-model logistic park at Jogikopa, and it is a project of about around 1,000 crore. So now you see this will be connected by railway, connected by highway, and connected by the port, Jogikopa port. So that way, our business and trade and commerce to Bangladesh and Southeast Asian market will be very easy for us. So that way, there are many policies. So through you, I just request our investors, those who are present here, to come and visit and to invest in Assam. And apart from that, the trilateral highway is completed. Only 3 small bridges left out, and we had discussed with Minister MEA, and he assured us that he will complete it within very short time. So we are expecting that next year this trilateral highway also will be completed. And I have visited that. I have visited Myanmar via this highway actually, and this is completed up to Thailand. So this is one. And secondly, under Kaladhan project, the Situe port is also completed at Myanmar, and this is Situe port will be connected with Mizoram, and ultimately connected with northeastern region. And this trilateral highway, it is connected from Tamu More. More is Manipur part, and Tamu is Myanmar part. So via Tamu More, so this is trilateral highway is connecting northeastern region to with Southeast Asian countries. So that way, you see, our ecosystem already we have made, and as per our ecosystem, and industries are comfortable here, and there are many policies we have given from government of Assam, and I hope our investors investors will definitely visit Assam, and days are coming now that Assam and northeastern region will be the only destination for investments to uh, to cater or to exploit the Southeast Asian market, where 80 crores populations are there. So we are targeting actually some ASEAN and BBAN countries market, and considering this uh, vision, actually we are working as on today. So I hope, Rajivji, will definitely work together, and you are welcome to Assam. You visit, and I hope. Uh, Actually, Rajivji, I treat you as our ambassador actually, because always you are advocating from Assam and Northeast. Really,
Absolutely, sir.
and
Absolutely.
yes, and
Sir, we
Dhanuka,
also met finance minister
yeah,
and we raised up this issue of this incentive policy.
yeah,
And we mentioned that, Northeast is not getting investments in last
yes,
1 or 2 years
yeah,
because the policy is not good. So we
yeah.
met her only 1 week back, and we took up the issue with her.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much that you spoke. Because, I spoke just 3 days back. Actually, he was here. He was here. So actually, up to airport, I was there with him, and I was extensively actually detailed discussion with him. He assured me that he will talk to Nirmalaji, and because policy from finance department it needs to get approval, so he'll talk Nirmalaji, and he assured me that something. I said that suppose in Jammu JNK, so people are not going actually for JNK. But now you have given such a policy to JNK, and even now investors going to JNK. But Assam is absolutely peaceful today and comfortable, and ecosystem is also good. So all 5 ways, all are up to the mark. So that way, Assam is the best place for investment. So now, yes, and now we have formulated this EV policy also. We have started electric vehicle already in Assam, and again we are going to purchase 250 electric vehicles immediately. Immediately means within 2-3 months. Within 2-3 months, we are purchasing again 250 electric vehicles. So phase manner, we are, you see, going to increase the number of the electric vehicles in Assam, and we have EV policy also, and already it is published in national papers, all India papers of, and ethanol policy and other policy, and bamboo is one sector. So bamboo now, Mulika refinery, they have started biofuel. So bamboo is one sector, and investors, those who are interested, so they should visit Assam for investment in bamboo sector, because we produce 66% of total bamboo in Assam. From total bamboo of the country, we are producing 66%, northeastern region, mainly Mizoram, Tripura, and Assam. So that way, investors in bamboo sectors also, we request to come Assam and invest and see the possibilities, because our investment sale is 24 hours. Our investment sale of industry department responding our investors, those who are interested. And I request, and Rajivji, like previous years, I hope you will definitely help Assam. And Shauryaji also, I'd like to thank, because yesterday he pursued me that I have to join. So Shauryaji also, I extend my thanks to you, and President ICC. I extend my thanks to you, and we always you are always welcome to Assam, and I hope with your you see.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Saharia. Before I request you, I think Honorable Home Minister Office would like to just check the audio.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Would
Hello?
Honorable Home Minister like to check the audio?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. But we see your, bandwidth little low.
Is there any issue with our bandwidth?
Yeah, the camera is getting off, and we see that. Just check once, because sometimes
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Gaurav, you are perfectly audible.
Okay, but Patwari sir, are you still there, sir?
No, actually, yesterday I spoke to you that I have some government program here, so I'll have to go out. So I'll leave this DC office, and I'll go to some places along with DC and SP and our honorable MLAs. So this is government actually pre-fixed program. So Shauryaji, don't mind, please.
No, I only want to thank you, sir. My apologies that I could not join because of some technically they were trying.
No, I know, no.
So thank you so much, sir. You have covered and you have inspired us. You have covered the most of the areas, and you have, in fact, before the questions are put, you have answered them, and you have given an overall view, not only of Assam, but the entire Northeast, as was expected. As an activist, Minister for Activist, and besides the industries and commerce that you hold and various other information. Thank you very much. It's been very kind of you.
Thank you, Shauryaji. Thank you, Rajivji. And
thank you so much.
Rajivji, please visit.
We are really grateful to you.
We look forward to participate in the next one, sir, soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So now I request Saharia to kindly moderate, and we can maybe discuss. We have some experts with us.
Thank you so much, Rajiv. Thank you so much, Rajiv, to immediately take it over at that time, because it was little embarrassment because we could not join in, and at that time, and Mr. Minister was already there. So thank you very much. Now, as you have heard, friends, as you have heard, the minister, he has covered very large areas of many of the questions which we would have answered. We would have looked for answers. One area which I wanted to mention to him was that so far in last many years that we have been working, ICC has been working, Government of India and industries were prepared to come forward. But the problem was within the state governments of the Northeast that the absorption capacity was much less than what we wanted to deliver. And this is where he has addressed Now that Northeast capability, Assam's capability has increased substantially. Their absorption capacity has increased. They are able to undertake various projects and get them implemented, and are they in a position to welcome any industrialist who comes and able to deliver. You will be surprised to know, for those people who are not familiar, that recently a bridge was inaugurated at Guwahati, and the period was more than 3 years to put up. Within less than 18 months, that flyover was built up. And they have another flyover, 2 flyovers coming up at Guwahati. The period is 4 years, and they expect to complete it again within 20 months period. So it's an exceptional kind of ecosystem which has been developed, which was repeatedly being mentioned by the minister. With last 2 days, we heard Mr. Gadkari and Mr. Scindia. Each one took at least 10% of their address time focusing on Northeast. So things are happening here, being delivered here, and by and large, it's a peaceful area, except for very small pockets of it. What we could not share with the minister today was what he had already covered, that in principle, the Commerce Department had agreed to NEIDS again to be made into a different format to cover up the deficiencies which were there, and to take J&K policy as a model policy, and to cover up our submissions, whatever we would like to do on the J&K policies, and to take it up on them. So this is something which I wanted to share, which he has already mentioned that he has discussed with Mr. Piyush Goyal. And this was something which we were making repeated representations to them. Whether it is rail, air, inland water, particularly in inland water, there is a substantial change which has taken place. Mr. Sonwal, who happens to be from Dibrugarh, is the now Minister for Shipping. And in the sometimes in January, we are going to hold a meeting at Dibrugarh itself. And the vision that the government has now to restart the river navigation as it used to be prior to 1954, from Dibrugarh till Calcutta. So the entire thing will get connected, and there would be in between intervention in sea, and as such, the shipments will be able to take place. Now, friends, I am so happy to see that so many important people have joined in as panelists. We would like to, as a Northeast Committee, we would like to take up all the issues which will come up today. And then I request, I'll start off. Is Prabhat, are you there, please? Our co-chairman for Northeast. Are you there, Prabhat?
No, he's not there.
Okay. Can I ask our friend Ms. Ashish Agarwal to kindly make his comments? Ashish, will you come in, please?
Sorry, So I just wanted to start by saying thank you, for organizing this and having me on it. I was lucky enough to be in Assam actually last week, and I'll say lucky because the 5 ways that the Honorable Minister is talking about, I got to experience 3 of them firsthand, which is the roadway, the waterway, and the highway. And I was actually very pleasantly surprised because I went to Upper Assam after a long time. I landed in Jorhat Airport, first time I landed in Jorhat Airport, and drove to Guwahati, stopping at Kaziranga National Park. And just in those 2 days, I experienced a lot of what this industrial policies have actually done for Assam in the last 10 years. So starting with the highway itself, it's a very, very beautiful road. I'm in the road transport business. It's a boon for our industry. The waterways are being developed in a very strong way. I went to Numaligarh Refinery. It's a $5 billion expansion happening in Upper Assam, and also had the privilege of staying at Kaziranga National Park, where I could not find a hotel room. That's how busy it was. And so, all in all, it shows you that really in 10 years, Assam has come a long way and is absolutely primed right now for its next evolution. And all the things that as people connected to the Northeast, we used to cry about, whether it's a law and order situation or the basic infrastructure, I think that's very much into place. And I think it's very exciting times forward for the Northeast as it connects into Southeast Asia and BVIN. And my only, kind of request would be that connectivity. I think that's all the Assamese people or the people in the Northeast need. They have been the unfortunate victims of various historical, kind of circumstances. And the roadways and airports, I think roadways are kind of very well done already. There are a lot more bridges to be built. They will be built as and when required. Airways is in some ways easier to build out. The real focus now has to be waterways. And this is the decade that we really hope that, as Aryaji was saying, that Dibrugarh to Calcutta on a boat becomes a kind of a daily reality. And that is going to change the entire complexion of the Northeast again. Thank you. Aryaji, we can't hear you. I think you're muted.
Yeah. Thank you, Ashish. Before we started off the meeting, it was in my agenda that when we come for discussion, I'm going to personally request you that you may look into now in your own area, because yesterday we were talking about how collaboration will take place, which the minister mentioned. So this is a time for you to perhaps look into river navigation. The things are going to be very big, right from Dibrugarh till Varanasi as such, touching the sea at Haldia. So it's going to be a
Mr. Saria, you are on mute.
Yeah, so please do think, consider it.
Absolutely,
thank you very
sir.
much once again, Ashish. We'll take it up again because time is getting short. I think 11:30, Honorable Minister will come in. May I request Mr. Sudeep Datta, Partner Strategy and Transactions on ENY, to kindly put in his thoughts.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a pleasure being part of this group and being able to share my views. I think at the very outset, all of us would be really appreciative of the kind of major infrastructure projects and policy initiatives that are being taken up by the government of India as well as the state governments. And we're really taken by the passion that was shown by the Honorable Minister in terms of bringing in policies and initiatives. So in terms of infrastructure, I think a lot of things are being done. And we were talking about inland waterways. I believe that about 19 inland waterway projects are being implemented. We also have an assurance that all the state capitals would be connected by railway and airport within the next couple of years. So that would be something that would be very interesting. And of course, a large number of industrial projects coming up in Assam would also add to this. The Honorable Union Minister very recently talked about 3 goals that he said he was adopted. One was to protect and promote the culture, heritage, and food habits of the region. Second was to solve all the disputes that are happening in the Northeast. And the third, which was very important, was to bring the GDP of the Northeast to the level it was before, and at least to be in line with the GDP of the country. And I think that is something that is very important to focus on. Very recently, Niti Aayog came out with the report on sustainable development goals. And one of the most striking things that came out of the report was the kind of disparities that was there between the states, despite having common resources and a reasonably common terrain. This could probably be because of differences in connectivity or maybe for human resources and physical infrastructure. But it opens up an opportunity for cooperation between the states to exchange these strengths and weaknesses of each state to try and bridge the disparities. So if we look at say the per capita NSDP of the various states, you have a high of Sikkim at about 2.5 lakhs, and then you have a low of Manipur at about 51,000. So that's a huge gap to have between 8 states in a similar region. And I would think that that is something that needs to be addressed. In terms of growth of the annual GDP, NSDP, again, we have Tripura, which is going at almost 2 times the national average, and Nagaland and Manipur and Mizoram going far below this. So I think this is something that we need to look at. And one of our suggestions to the Honorable Minister could be that, we could look at setting up some sort of center of excellences between these states to see how exchange of best practices could be done and implemented. And probably NEC or maybe some of the universities like IIM in Shillong or IIT could also work together. But I think it is very, very necessary to bridge the gap. Again, if you look at the Sustainable Gold Index that was released in the just about a couple of days back by NITI Aayog, again, we will find that several of the NER states are pretty much low in terms of ranking, whereas we have Sikkim right at the top. So that is the disparity is there, and I think there has to be a focused approach in trying to deal with the sustainable goals within a period of time, and ideally this should be done at a chief secretary or a commissioner level centrally. So we should need to have one agency in each of the state which should monitor the SDG goals and ensure that these are happening. I think SDG goals is very critical for us as a country to achieve between 2030. And if you look at Assam, for example, there are a particular 4 goals which are putting the Assam's ranking far down, which it deserves. And I think a very focused approach of that would be important. Interesting, one of them is logistics. Whereas, I think Assam is ideally a very, very strong logistic hub, and it should be ranking very, very high on logistics. So I think that is one issue that needs to be dealt, and I think Assam really needs to have a state level integrated logistic plan, which with a very clear goal and with projects that can be identified, which I think can bring Assam back. In terms of tourism infrastructure, again, there is a lot of difference. You have Sikkim, which is about 2.5 in terms of tourism density, to Meghalaya, which is about 0.4, and then the other states which are about 0.1, which basically indicates that there is a potential to increase the number of tourists in each of the states. But I think what is more important than the number of tourists is the kind of contribution of tourism to tourism economy. If we see the northeastern states, most of the states, the average tourism spend is very, very low. Just to give a comparison, Meghalaya would be something like 4,000, Bhutan would be something like 28,000. So that is perhaps because of the fact that we as NER, in spite of having immense tourism assets, have not been able to bring in high value tourists. And I think that is one area that the government of each of the states or collectively need to look at as to see how we can bring in high value tourism spends who bring in income to the region, who contribute to the economic development. Otherwise, we have so many number of day tourists. Meghalaya, for example, maybe 50% of the people come from Assam on a daily trip. So their spend and contribution to the economy is much, much lower. So I think perhaps that is one area that could be under focus. The other thing that we see is that subsistence agriculture is now moving into commercialization. So we have more commercialized agriculture. So there is a lot more of people who are now moving for agriculture.
Sir, you have to be brief because if 11:30 minister comes, we would like to hear this. Kindly be brief.
Right. So just one more line on this, and we'll just close it at that. I think as the demand for jobs are increasing, I think we will need to, while we are having a lot of skilling programs that are there, I think we could also look at suggesting entrepreneurship development centers locally at most of the states, which would really bring in entrepreneurship spirit and job development. I think I'll stop at that. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Mr. Datta. You have made very important points, and we will have to take note of it. Some of them we will take up. Skill development, ICC is doing a lot of work in within the Northeast. In fact, after 4 days later, hello. So we are just for a mention that when we make comparison, to make Sikkim with the rest of 7 states is a little unfair, because Sikkim has been added in Northeast later on, but geographically it is nowhere part of Northeast in terms of the backwardness and other such things. But you made very important point in terms of Nagaland and Manipur, which is definitely there. So we'll have to take up all these issues and this thing. May I now request Mr. KP Shah to kindly share his thoughts?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Sharia. So, as you are aware, we have been working in the field of empowerment through IT, and in Northeast we have been working for more than a decade now. So we have taken a lot of initiatives, initiative in the area of handloom and handicrafts getting, because in Northeast we see there are a lot of potentials are there for the national as well as international markets. So we have recently tied up with Amazon, which is the global leader in the e-commerce, and came up with a very unique model called Karigar, which we are taking not only for the Northeast, pan India. We are taking this campaign called Amazon Karigar program, where we and Amazon are working together to identify those handloom and handicraft artisans, and at a very subsidized rate, because e-commerce, a lot of people complains that the commissions are very high. So what we are able to convince them is cut down the commercial by almost like 2/3. So if the commission is 30%, for the rest of the people, traders, for karigars, it is getting to 8%. So that is what we are able to do, and we have started in Varanasi and some part of Bengal, and Assam is something we are, already the Reiki has been done for a couple of clusters, and maybe from December we'll be starting this with the Assam first, and then to the other state. But what we have, observed in Northeast, so there are a lot of capacity building need to be done, and I think that is where we need to work very closely. Like the first things would be the cataloging, the infrastructure that has to be created. I think and creating the whole overall value chain. Right from the logistics, mini warehouses is the model, because we have found the problem, like when we sell products online for a global audience, it has to be sent to a larger warehouse, and they have very little inventory. So if the product is not get sold, then they need to get it back. So how we have solved it is keeping a smaller inventory at a very close, so that if it doesn't get sold, their inventory don't get blocked. So it could be immediately pulled down. The artisan can pull it back and sell it to the local market. So those are the model which we have made, and we have got initial very success. Around 100 plus artisan in the first month itself have joining this program from Varanasi, right? And in Bengal already the campaigns are going on, and I think in next 2 to 3 months we are really going to get the impact in this sector. And I think the Northeast as a whole, because I come from this place, I think Northeast as a whole, if the whole ecosystem works together, can really do wonders, not only in India but at a global level. We can take those products in a countries like Japan, US and European market too.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shah. Since you belong to Northeast, you originally come from Tripura, you have a lot of ideas about it. And we, RCC, took participate in this forum in Varanasi when Prime Minister was there, and we for handloom and handicrafts particularly. Thank you very much. We'll take the note of it. May I request Dr. Ravi Mathur, VP Global Head for Dr. Reddy's, to kindly share his thoughts with us.
Thank you, Saryaji, for giving me the opportunity to share my views, and thank you, ICC, for inviting me to this platform. Most of the panelists earlier have already laid out what the good work and what the high impact programs that are being undertaken for the Northeast part of the country. And as somebody, as an organization who is trying to serve that market or that geography, we of course are seeing the benefits of that, experiencing it. But I also need to mention at the same time that if you were to, and I'm coming purely from a market accessibility and a serviceability and a logistics perspective, that there is still a lot more that needs to be done in terms of connectivity, especially to the remote parts of the region. And one of the, from when we try to analyze what is ailing connectivity to that region is, and we speak to logistics service providers, what we understand is that there's a fundamental concept which is called the return load in supply chain management. So there is material which is moving into the region, but there isn't enough material moving out of the region into the rest of the country. So there's an imbalance in terms of logistics. Now, if that has to be corrected, it's a chicken and egg story. You know, what comes first? Whether you create the infrastructure first and then wait for industry to set up, or create industry first and then improve the infrastructure. So I think a lot of efforts that are already happening and the programs are already in execution phase. They need to synchronize. And I'd like to draw the attention of the panel to a couple of them high impact ones. So there is a sustainable, there is a special accelerated road development program, that has been there in the country for quite some time now. And for the current fiscal year 21-22, the allocation has been doubled to around 790 crores. So that is something that has to be accelerated. It is already happening. Another integrated approach has that been of the multimodal parks that is already in execution. It gets a special acceleration under the PM Gati Shakti initiative. Okay. Now I'm assuming that the accelerated road development program folds in integrated way into the Gati Shakti program, and there's a seamless integration of the road development with other infrastructure development that PM Gati Shakti is looking into. There's one more third important point that I want to make over here is, and which other people also alluded to, is the skilled manpower or the skilling. So the talent pool is there, but also the talent pool needs to be supported by an ecosystem. Okay, and therein I like to talk about the smart city initiatives that are there, and I think there are 9 smart cities which are already identified for the Northeast region. Now these smart cities are very important to sustain that talent pool that we need over there. It is not just the investment. We also need talent to run that industry, to run that infrastructure. So all these 3 things, along with the backward integration of the aircraft, for the aviation industry. So from the 6 major airports to the 14 major, there are 6 new lanes that have opened up. So all the 4 integration, the aviation routes in that region integrated with the accelerated road development program, folded into Gati Shakti and the smart cities. I think a comprehensive point of view has to be taken over there, and only then we will have a sustainable momentum of development in that region. Thank you, Chairman sir, for the opportunity. These are my
Mr.
points.
Saharia, just to mention here, Honorable HM will be joining soon, so you may like to maybe continue with it, but as soon as he joins, then we'll have to stop.
Thank you very much,
Mr.
Dr.
Saharia, over to you. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mathur. You made some very valuable inputs into logistic chain and various income this thing. From a point of investment, which is not directly covered into the particular subject, when we are formulating the new policy, I would like you to please consider, as far as your management is concerned, pharma sector also as an investment part of it here. And if in case any suggestion comes from your company, we will be able to put in at this stage to give a special consideration for pharma companies in the new policy which comes in. Where there's tremendous opportunity here, and where the travel cost as such in the total cost becomes negligible in terms of this thing. So this is something the input for you to consider. May I request Mr. Aditya Shah, Executive Director of Atlas Group, to please share his thoughts, please. Kindly brief so that we can have a little discussion before I think I can see the minister coming.
Honorable Home Minister has joined us. I think we'll have to end here.
Okay. We later on, maybe if in case the President wants to continue with some discussion, now the Honorable Minister is coming. Back to you, Dr. Rajesh.
Yes.
Namaskar, sir. और आपके समय के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर.
So since Honorable Minister has joined us, I would request President to kindly start the session.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and a very warm welcome to all of you. It is my honor and pleasure to welcome our Honorable Minister of Home Affairs, Shri Amit Shah Ji, who has always given ICC time and opportunities to table industry concerns despite his busy schedule. Sir, we are extremely privileged to have you amongst us at our annual general meeting session. Thank you very much, sir, for gracing the ICC platform today with your presence. India is blessed to have an inspiring leader like you, sir. आज आईसीसी की ये सभा इस बार 75वें स्वतंत्र दिवस के माहौल में आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव के बीच हो रही है। यह बहुत बड़ा अवसर है भारतीय उद्योग जगत के नए संकल्पों के लिए, नए लक्ष्यों के लिए। आत्मनिर्भर भारत अभियान की सफलता का बहुत बड़ा दायित्व भारतीय उद्योगों पर है। Sir, under your leadership and the guidance of our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, India witnessed numerous structural changes. Government took bold decisions even during the pandemic. The steps taken by the government has led to record FDI and FPI in India. The forex reserve is at an all-time high. GST has shown positive results and is witnessing record collections. Sir, ICC strongly feels that the Northeast region has an important role to play in India's economic growth in spite of certain limitations, which our government is proactively addressing. And we laud the government's decision to adopt a multi-pronged strategy for all-round development of the landlocked Northeastern region. And we also appreciate the steps being taken to enhance infrastructure and connectivity through the Northeast India Industrial Development Scheme and promotion of industrial projects to further the growth of industry, trade, and commerce in the region. Sir, such major reforms and decisions need political will. And in India, there is no shortage of political will. We have a never before opportunity to take the country to the sphere of fast-track growth, development, and prosperity. Corporate India is with the government in its effort to make Brand India a flag bearer of quality, productivity, talent, and innovation. The world is looking towards India. May I now request Mr. Sanjeev Goenka, Chairman of RP Sanjeev Goenka Group and ICC Advisory Council Chair, to kindly share his special remarks with us. Sanjeev Bhaiya, over to you. Thank you.
Namaskar, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, let me add my own very special welcome to all of you to this very special session, made so by the participation of a very special individual. Few people have left their mark on the national stage in such a short time as Amit Bhai Shah, our Union Home Minister and our chief guest. Until a couple of months before the momentous 2014 polls, he had confined himself, well, almost to Gujarat. When he assumed national duties, it marked the beginning of yet another spectacular innings. He was instrumental in BJP's 2014 elections in the victory, a political feat which led not only to a regime change, but has brought about a paradigm shift in the way India thinks, in the way India governs, in the way India is perceived. And as the president of the BJP, he actually transformed BJP into an election winning machine based on the aspirations and the wishes of the Aam Aadmi. The run of successes under him has not been surprising at all. He has so far contested 31 polls to the State Assembly, Lok Sabha, local bodies, winning all of those. His innovations, missed calls, membership drive, Panna Pramukh, permanent party offices across the country equipped not just with broadband connectivity, but also libraries, have not only helped sustain parties' political preeminence, but also are being copied by others. A tireless worker. he, as party president, made it a point to stay at party offices, spend nights in district headquarters. But ladies and gentlemen, his organizing abilities are only a part of the man. His tenure as Home Minister has brought out his ability to grasp complex details of policy making. He is bold, and his bold push for changes in the constitutional state of Jammu and Kashmir has made him popular. And corridors of power, not only in India, but across the world, are agog with tales of the ease with which he can handle difficult matters. Let me turn to his understanding of the economy as well. He has spearheaded India into an economic powerhouse. One small example, but that illustrates the point. He turned the Ahmedabad District Cooperative Bank, which with an accumulated loss of 38 crores was on the verge of collapse, into a profit-making enterprise of 36 crore net profit within a year of him being elected chairman of the bank. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a sample of what our Honorable Home Minister is. It's my privilege to present to you a leader who's a doer, a thinker, a man who identifies with the problems of the Aam Aadmi, a man with vision, a man with resolve and determination. Ladies and gentlemen, our Honorable Home Minister, Shri Amit Bhai Shah.
Thank you, Sanjeev Bhaiya, for your remarks. May I now request our Honorable Home Minister Shri Amit Shah ji to kindly share a few words with us. Sir.
मेरे साथ जुड़े हुए श्रीमान संजीव गोयनका जी, विकास अग्रवाल जी, प्रदीप सुरेखा जी, डॉक्टर राजीव सिंह और वर्चुअल मोड से जुड़े हुए सभी भाइयों बहनों का आज मैं बड़ी उष्मा के साथ उनको एक्नॉलेज करता हूं। मेरे लिए बहुत महत्वपूर्ण मौका है कि जिस संस्था ने 1925 से लेकर न केवल पूर्वी भारत बल्कि भारत के अर्थतंत्र को बड़ी गति देने में एक प्लेटफॉर्म की भूमिका निभाई है, वो संस्था आईसीसी के साथ आज मुझे बात करने का मौका मिल रहा है। सेठ घनश्याम दास बिरला ने और उनके साथ कुछ अग्रणी उद्योगपतियों ने आजादी के पहले आईसीसी की स्थापना की और आईसीसी ने पूरे देश के इतिहास को अपने साथ देखा है। उन्होंने आजादी का आंदोलन भी आईसीसी ने देखा है, देश का विभाजन भी देखा है, 71 की लड़ाई और बांग्लादेश का निर्माण भी देखा है और अब बदलते हुए भारत में हिस्सेदारी देने के लिए भी आईसीसी तत्पर है। आज जब हम नॉर्थ ईस्ट के लिए बात करने के लिए इकट्ठा हुए हैं, तब मैं सबसे पहले तो आईसीसी को बहुत बधाई देना चाहता हूं कि आप उन्हें उचित समय पर नॉर्थ ईस्ट पर फोकस करने का निर्णय किया है। 2014 में जब देश के प्रधानमंत्री गुजरात के मुख्यमंत्री थे और भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने तय किया कि आने वाले 14 के आम चुनाव के अंदर भारतीय जनता पार्टी मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में चुनाव लड़ेगी, तब मोदी जी ने अनेक भाषणों के अंदर भारत के विकास के लिए अपने विजन को, अपने दर्शन को जनता के सामने रखने का प्रयास किया था। उसमें सबसे बड़ी एक बात थी कि उन्होंने पूर्वी भारत के लिए एक फोकस कर अपना विजन साझा किया था। उन्होंने बहुत अच्छे तरीके से इसको देश की जनता के सामने आम लोग समझ पाए इस तरह से रखने का प्रयास किया था। उन्होंने कहा था कि किसी भी देश का जब तक सर्वस्पर्शीय विकास न हो, सर्वसमावेशक विकास न हो, संतुलित विकास न हो, देश आगे नहीं बढ़ सकता है। कारण जो रहे होंगे, पश्चिमी भारत और थोड़ा बहुत दक्षिण भारत में विकास ज्यादा हुआ आजादी के बाद, और 70 साल के बैकग्राउंड में देखते थे तो दिखता था कि पूर्वी भारत कहीं ना कहीं पिछड़ गया है। कुछ लोग उसको विभाजन का कारण देते हैं, कुछ लोग नॉर्थ ईस्ट अंतरराष्ट्रीय सीमाओं के कारण लैंड बाउंड्री से एकदम कट गया इसका कारण देते हैं, कुछ लोग हमारे महत्वपूर्ण बंदरगाह बांग्लादेश में चल गई इसका कारण देते हैं, कुछ लोग वामपंथियों के लंबे शासन को भी इसका कारण मानते। कारण जो हो, मगर वास्तविकता थी, सभी आंकड़े बताते थे कि पूर्वी भारत का विकास देश के विकास के तुलना में कम हुआ था। प्रधानमंत्री जी ने उसी वक्त कहा था कि हमारी सरकार अगर आती है तो हम पूर्वी भारत के विकास पर बड़ा फोकस करेंगे और पूर्वी भारत के विकास को बाकी के भारत के विकास के समकक्ष लाकर भारत के विकास में कंट्रीब्यूटर बनाएंगे। मुझे आनंद है 7 साल के अंदर काफी कुछ पूर्वी भारत के विकास के लिए हुआ है, चाहे बंगाल हो, चाहे उड़ीसा हो, चाहे बिहार हो, एक परिवर्तन की बयार देखी जा सकती है, मगर गड्ढा इतना बड़ा था कि भरने में समय लगता है। अब जब हम पूर्वी भारत का विकास की बात करते हैं तो पूर्वोत्तर के विकास के बगैर पूर्वी भारत के विकास की कल्पना ही नहीं हो सकती। मित्रों, मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूं कि आजादी से पहले असम की प्रति व्यक्ति आय पूरे देश में सबसे ज्यादा थी। आप कल्पना कर सकते हैं, आज हम जिस असम को देखते हैं उसकी प्रति व्यक्ति आय आजादी के पहले पूरे देश में सबसे ज्यादा थी। इसका मतलब असम और पूर्वी भारत, नॉर्थ ईस्ट, ये देश के विकास के अंदर बहुत बड़े कंट्रीब्यूटर थे। और अब जब हम आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव बना रहे हैं, आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव के 2 हिस्से, एक हिस्सा है आजादी दिलाने के लिए हमें जिन नामी अनामी गुमनाम शहीदों ने अपने जीवन का बलिदान दिया, अपना योगदान दिया, उनको याद कर नई पीढ़ी को हम देशभक्ति से तरोताजा करें। और दूसरा है कि 75 साल से 100 साल तक ये 25 साल हम भारत को कहां से कहां पहुंचाना है इसका संकल्प लें। तो प्रधानमंत्री जी ने ये 25 साल को आजादी का अमृत काल कहा है। ये 25 साल में हर क्षेत्र के अंदर भारत विश्व में सर्वप्रथम हो, इस दृष्टि से आगे बढ़ना है। और जहां तक आर्थिक विकास का क्षेत्र है उसमें भी प्रधानमंत्री जी ने हमारे सामने $5 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी का लक्ष्य रखा है और पूर्वोत्तर के विकास के बगैर ये हो नहीं सकता। पूर्व का विकास भी नहीं हो सकता, भारत का विकास भी नहीं हो सकता। और मैं आज थोड़ी बात आपको पूर्वोत्तर की इसलिए बताना चाहता हूं क्योंकि जब मैं पार्टी अध्यक्ष था तब से पूर्वोत्तर के सभी राज्यों का शायद मैं ही अकेला कोई ऑल इंडिया पार्टी का अध्यक्ष होगा जिसने बाय रोड दौरा किया था। 21 दिन तक मैं पूरे पूर्वोत्तर में घूमता रहा और पूर्वोत्तर को समझने का प्रयास किया। पूर्वोत्तर हमारे देश के लिए सीमाओं के कारण नहीं, इसकी सांस्कृतिक और भाषा की विविधताओं के कारण नहीं, पूर्वोत्तर हमारे लिए बहुत महत्वपूर्ण क्षेत्र है। जब तक पूर्वोत्तर को बाकी के भारत के साथ हर दृष्टि से जोड़ा नहीं जाता, हर दृष्टि से मेरा मतलब है कि वहां की जनता और भारत की जनता के बीच में भी सामंजस्य खड़ा होना चाहिए, एकात्मता का भाव खड़ा होना चाहिए, विकास की दृष्टि से वहां का विकास और भारत के विकास का दर एक समान होना चाहिए, और सुरक्षा की दृष्टि से भी भारत की जितनी ही शांति और समृद्धि वहीं पर भी होनी चाहिए। तो हर दृष्टि से पूर्वोत्तर को जब तक भारत के समान नहीं कर सकते, पूर्वोत्तर का विकास संभव नहीं है। और जब से नरेंद्र मोदी सरकार आई 2014 से, तब से हमने पूर्वोत्तर के विकास को एक चरणबद्ध तरीके से आगे बढ़ाने के लिए किया है। पूर्वोत्तर हमारे भारत के भूभाग का लगभग 8% क्षेत्र है। आप कल्पना कर सकते हैं, यूपी से बड़ा क्षेत्र पूर्वोत्तर, लगभग 3.8% आबादी है और अंतरराष्ट्रीय सीमा वहां से 5000 किलोमीटर लंबी अंतरराष्ट्रीय सीमा 5 देशों के साथ जुड़ी हुई है। इसी से हमें मालूम पड़ता है कि पूर्वोत्तर कितना महत्वपूर्ण क्षेत्र है। विश्व के 18 बायोडायवर्सिटी हॉटस्पॉट जो है उसमें से एक पूर्वोत्तर है। हम इसका मार्केटिंग करना चाहिए, हमें इसको आगे बढ़ाना चाहिए। देश के फॉरेस्ट कवर का 1/4 हिस्सा 25% पूर्वोत्तर में है और डेंस फॉरेस्ट का लगभग 30% हिस्सा पूर्वोत्तर में। एक दृष्टि से पूर्वोत्तर भारत का फेफड़ा है। अगर पूर्वोत्तर के बचाए हुए ऑक्सीजन को हम न गिने तो भारत का जीवन यापन बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है। बहुत विषम क्षेत्र भी है, पहाड़ी भी है, जंगल भी है, बहुत बड़ी नदियां, सागर जैसी नदियां वहां से निकलती है। 270 से ज्यादा सामाजिक ग्रुप है, 185 से ज्यादा बोलियां बोली जाती है। आप कल्पना करिए, एक पूर्वोत्तर के अंदर 270 से ज्यादा सामाजिक ग्रुप है, 185 से अधिक भाषाएं बोली जाती है, और इसी का उपयोग करते हुए कुछ लोगों ने पूर्वोत्तर को बहुत डिफिकल्ट बनाया था। भारत के बाकी हिस्से और पूर्वोत्तर के हिस्से में बहुत बड़ा एक मन की खाई खड़ी करने का काम 2014 के पूर्व किया है। मैं नागालैंड गया था तो मुझे किसी दवाई की दुकान पर जाना पड़ा। मैंने वहां दवाई की दुकान वाले के पास एक दवाई मांगी। वो पहचानता नहीं था, मैं भी नया नया अध्यक्ष बना था। उसने मुझे पूछा कहां से आए हैं? तो मैंने कहा मैं कलकत्ते से आया। तो उसका अच्छा, भारत से आए? मेरे दिल की धड़कन 2 सेकंड के लिए रुक गई। नागालैंड का एक नागरिक, मैं जब उसको कहता हूं मैं कलकत्ते से आया हूं, तो वो मुझे कहता है आप भारत से आए हैं। मैंने उसको पूछा भाई नागालैंड भारत का हिस्सा नहीं है क्या? आप ऐसा क्यों पूछते हैं? तब कुछ बोले बगैर मुझे दवाइयां दी और पैसा लेकर अपना काम करने लगा। ये स्थिति मैं इसलिए बताता हूं, इस स्थिति में पूर्वोत्तर का विकास संभव ही नहीं था। भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार 2014 में बनने के बाद नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने सबसे पहला काम ये मन की खाई को पाटने का करा। उन्होंने पूर्वोत्तर पर फोकस किया और पूर्वोत्तर के अंदर हर 15 दिन में एक केंद्रीय मंत्री को भेजना चालू किया। आज तक 7 साल में प्रधानमंत्री स्वयं 50 बार पूर्वोत्तर गए हैं और 12 बार रात्रि निवास उन्होंने पूर्वोत्तर के अंदर किया है। और धीरे धीरे अब पूर्वोत्तर का भारत के साथ मन का जुड़ाव करने का काम समाप्त हो गया। एक जमाना था वहां हिंसा, उग्रवाद, विवाद, बाढ़, भ्रष्टाचार और नारकोटिक्स, ये सारे प्रॉब्लम हमेशा के लिए चर्चा में रहते। मणिपुर का कोई नाम देता था तो बंद और ब्लॉकेट के लिए ही दिया जाता था, हड़तालों के लिए दिया था। आसाम का नाम टेररिज्म के लिए और जातीय समूहों के झगड़ों के लिए लिया जाता था। इस प्रकार की स्थिति में पूर्वोत्तर था। आज कनेक्टिविटी, विकास, पर्यटन, रोजगार, बिजली और जंगल को बढ़ाना, बाढ़ को समाप्त करना, ये पूर्वोत्तर का चर्चा का विषय है। मैं इसलिए बताता हूं कि किसी भी क्षेत्र के अंदर औद्योगिक निवेश अगर करना है तो वहां शांति होना बहुत जरूरी है, वहां के विवादों को समाप्त करना बहुत जरूरी है। एक एनवायरनमेंट ऐसा बनाना जहां पॉलिटिकल स्टेबिलिटी होना बहुत जरूरी है, और आर्थिक विकास के लिए एक अच्छा माहौल बनाना बहुत जरूरी है। ये माहौल बनाने का काम ये 7 साल के अंदर नरेंद्र मोदी जी की भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार ने समाप्त कर दिया है, पूरा कर लिया है। और आज पूर्वोत्तर तैयार है इसको स्वीकार कर आर्थिक विकास का एक बहुत बड़ा, देश के आर्थिक विकास का कंट्रीब्यूटर बनने के लिए। और ये जो प्रॉब्लम थे हमारे पूर्व के साथ कनेक्टिविटी के, उसमें भी बांग्लादेश के साथ लैंड बॉर्डर का समझौता कर अब पूर्वोत्तर से बांग्लादेश की बंदरगाह 2 साल के अंदर ही जुड़ जाएगी और एक बहुत बड़ा रास्ता दुनिया भर में जाने के लिए पूर्वोत्तर में उद्योग लगाने के वालों के लिए खुल जाएगा। मित्रों, हमने 3 ई को पूर्वोत्तर के विकास के लिए 3 ई में सारी बात को समराइज किया है: एम्पैथी, एम्पावरमेंट और इनेबलर। ये 3 ई के साथ हम आगे बढ़ना चाहते हैं और हमने सबसे पहले यहाँ पॉलिटिकल स्टेबिलिटी स्थापित की है। आज पूर्वोत्तर की सभी सरकारें 5 साल हो गए, कोई भी टूट फूट करे बगैर एक भी सरकार बदली नहीं है। 5 साल से सभी सरकारें चल रही है। यहाँ सारे विवादों को समाप्त करने के लिए हमने बहुत बड़ा इनिशिएटिव लिया है, मैं आगे बताऊंगा इसके बारे में। तीसरा उद्देश्य हमारा है बोलियां, भाषाएं, नृत्य, संगीत, खानपान और विविधता को हमने ताकत बनाना है, टूरिज्म के लिए बहुत बड़ा हथियार बनाना है और पूर्वोत्तर को एक विकसित क्षेत्र बनाकर आजादी के पूर्व के जीडीपी के योगदान को वापस लाना है। मैं पॉलिटिकल स्टेबिलिटी के लिए पहले बात करूंगा। आज वहां पर सभी सरकारें पूर्ण बहुमत के साथ स्थिरता के साथ काम कर रही है। चुनाव भी शांतिपूर्ण तरीके से हो रहे हैं। नेडा जो नॉर्थ ईस्ट डेमोक्रेटिक अलायंस हमने बनाया था भारतीय जनता पार्टी के नेतृत्व में, वो 8 की 8 सरकारें नेडा के तत्वाधान में चल रही है। हमारे पूर्वोत्तर के लोगों ने मोदी जी को स्वीकारा है। 19 सीट 24 में से 19 सीटें भारतीय जनता पार्टी को दी है। 498 विधायक में से 350 विधायक नेडा के हैं। और दिल्ली को जहां पहले पराया समझा जाता था, अब दिल्ली को बड़ा भाई मानकर विकास के लिए उसकी सहायता लेने में कोई झिझक वहां पर नहीं रही है। और मैं इतना जरूर कह सकता हूं कि पॉलिटिकल स्टेबिलिटी लाने में प्रधानमंत्री जी के विजन को जमीन पर उतारा गया है और बहुत बड़ा फायदा इसके कारण पूर्वोत्तर के विकास को होने वाला है। मित्रों, पूर्वोत्तर के शांति की स्थापना के लिए भी 2014 और 2019 के बाद हमने बहुत बड़ा काम किया है। पहली टर्म में बांग्लादेश लैंड बाउंड्री एग्रीमेंट कर पूर्वोत्तर की जो सबसे बड़ी कमी थी कि पूर्व में कैसे जाए, इसको हमने दूर किया है। मणिपुर के ब्लॉकेड को समाप्त कर दिया है। NLFT के साथ समझौता हुआ है, उन लोगों ने हथियार डाल दिए हैं। भ्रू शरणार्थियों का 40 साल से समस्या था, इनके साथ समझौता हो गया है, उनका पुनर्वसन हो रहा है। बोडो शांति समझौता कर ढेर सारे उग्रवादियों ने हथियार डाले हैं। कार्बी आंगलोंग में भी समझौता होकर ढेर सारे उग्रवादियों ने हथियार डाले हैं। और मैं आपको बताता हूं, 2014 के पहले 7 साल में, 2014 के 7 साल मतलब 2007 से 2014 तक लगभग 385 नागरिक मारे गए थे प्रति साल। अब 2019 से लेकर 21 तक 2 नागरिकों की एवरेज आई। आप समझ सकते हैं ये कितना शांति स्थापित करने में भारतीय जनता पार्टी को कितना फायदा हुआ है। भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने कितनी सफलता हासिल की है और उससे पूर्वोत्तर को कितना फायदा किया। ये 2 वर्ष में लगभग 3922 उग्रवादियों ने हथियार डालकर सरेंडर किया है और 4000 हथियार भी पुलिस के पास जमा करे हैं। 3922 उग्रवादियों ने हथियार डाले हैं और लगभग राज्य सरकारें और केंद्र सरकार मिलकर उनके विकास के लिए भी 12,000 करोड़ रुपया इन्होंने उनके पुनर्वसन के लिए भी किए। इसके साथ साथ पूर्वोत्तर के इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को बढ़ाने में भी बहुत बड़ा 7 साल के अंदर आमूलचूर परिवर्तन, बड़ी बड़ी योजनाएं आज पूर्वोत्तर की, मैं आपको दावे के साथ कह सकता हूं 2024 में हम फिर से जनादेश लेने जाएंगे। पूर्वोत्तर की सभी राजधानियां एयरपोर्ट से जुड़ी हुई होगी। पहले 2 ही थी, सभी राजधानियां एयरपोर्ट से जुड़ी हुई। पूर्वोत्तर के 8 में से 7 स्टेट रेल से जुड़े हुए और ढेर सारे नेशनल हाईवे बनाने का काम किया है। लगभग नेशनल हाईवे की 32 सड़कों का निर्माण 12,000 करोड़ से किया है। लगभग अरुणाचल के अंदर और 1200 करोड़ रुपया लगाया है। पूर्वोत्तर के चहुमुखी विकास को करने के लिए मैं बहुत डिटेल में नहीं जाता, मगर कुछ आंकड़े जरूर देना चाहता हूं। 2024 से 2021 तक 2,65,513 करोड़ रुपया सिर्फ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के पीछे खर्च किया है। इसमें मैं हेल्थ पर की गई लागत को नहीं गिना था। 2,65,513 करोड़ सिर्फ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के लिए भारत सरकार ने लगाए हैं। और 14वें के वित्त आयोग की तुलना में 15वें वित्त आयोग में पूर्वोत्तर के लिए खर्च में 251% की बढ़ोतरी की। मैं ये सभी आपको इसलिए कहता हूं कि पूर्वोत्तर भारत सरकार का फोकस का बिंदु है। पूर्वोत्तर का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, पूर्वोत्तर की शांति, पूर्वोत्तर की पॉलिटिकल स्टेबिलिटी एक ऐसा माहौल बनाती है कि जैसे वहां पर आप लोग इन्वेस्ट कर सके, भरोसा कर सके और वहां से पूरे पूर्व में जाने के लिए, दुनिया भर में जाने के लिए रास्ता भी अब खुलने वाले हैं। 2021-22 में पूर्वोत्तर का बजट जो वित्त आयोग से अलग है 68,000 करोड़ रुपया किया है। 60 वर्ष में बजट को 2 गुना करने का काम भारतीय जनता पार्टी की मोदी सरकार ने किया है और ये सारा पैसा पारदर्शी तरीके से खर्च हो इसके लिए भी हमने ढेर सारे कदम उठाए हैं। इसके लिए IT का उपयोग भी किया है और बहुत सारे कदम उठाकर भ्रष्टाचार को वहां से निकालने का हमने प्रयास किया है। मित्रों, जहां तक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का सवाल है, 553 करोड़ रुपए की लागत से पाक्योंग हवाई अड्डा सिक्किम में, असम ब्रह्मपुत्र नदी पर बोगीबील रेल और रोड दोनों का एक साथ पुल बनाया है लगभग 6000 करोड़ की लागत से। कुमारघाट अगरतला के लिए नई रेल लाइन 1700 करोड़ रुपए की। टोटल रेल लाइन के उन्नयन के लिए 22,000 करोड़ रुपया खर्चा गया है। तुरियाल जल विद्युत परियोजना 1400 करोड़ की, पारे जल विद्युत योजना 1600 करोड़ की, त्रिपुरा गैस आधारित पावर प्लांट 1100 करोड़ का, त्रिपुरा में NH 44 उदयपुर 800 करोड़ रुपए का, अरुणाचल में चांगलांग खोस खड़ सड़क 450 करोड़ की, असम में NH 37 380 करोड़ रुपए का, और रेल की कनेक्टिविटी का 40% काम पूरा हो चुका है। अब 2 ही राजधानी रेल से कनेक्ट होना बाकी है और राजधानी ईटानगर में 995 करोड़ का नया हवाई अड्डा बन रहा है और भारत और बांग्लादेश दोनों तरफ अगरतला ओखरा रेल लिंक भी चालू हो गई है, जिससे रेल के माध्यम से भी बांग्लादेश के साथ व्यापार हो सकता है। हमने बहुत सारे वहां पर एम्स से लेके IIT से लेके IIM से लेके ढेर सारे इंस्टीट्यूशन भी वहां पर खुले हैं, जिससे वहां के बच्चे एक अच्छा मैन पावर के रूप में हमारे पास हो। इस प्रकार का हमने एक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बनाने का काम किया है। मित्रों, आज जब मैं यहाँ आप लोगों के सामने आया तो आपको अपील करने के लिए आया। IT के लिए अपार संभावनाएं नॉर्थ ईस्ट के अंदर पड़ी है। IT के लिए वहां की भौगोलिक विषमता जरा भी आड़े नहीं आती है। और जहां तक कनेक्टिविटी का सवाल है, IT की कनेक्टिविटी के लिए हमने ढेर सारा काम किया है और वहां देश के बाकी हिस्सों जैसे ही कनेक्टिविटी आज उपलब्ध है। टूरिज्म पूरे विश्व के टूरिस्टों को आकर्षित करने का कुदरती सौंदर्य यहाँ पर नॉर्थ ईस्ट के पास उपलब्ध है। ऑर्गेनिक फूड के लिए भी 3 राज्य संपूर्णतः ऑर्गेनिक राज्य घोषित कर दिए गए हैं। बाकी राज्यों में भी ऑर्गेनिक कृषि को बढ़ावा दे रहा है। देश भर के को ऑर्गेनिक फूड देने का एक बहुत बड़ा हब नॉर्थ ईस्ट बन सकता है। पूरे विश्व में ऑर्गेनिक फूड की जो मांग और बाजार बढ़ रहा है, इसके लिए भी नॉर्थ ईस्ट बहुत बड़ा स्पॉट बन सकता है। स्पोर्ट्स के लिए भी बहुत बड़ी संभावनाएं नॉर्थ ईस्ट के अंदर पड़ी है। बाढ़ नियंत्रण के क्षेत्र में वहां की भौगोलिक परिस्थिति जो विषम है, इसका ही भी उपयोग करने का हमने निर्णय किया है। इसरो के माध्यम से ढेर सारे कुदरती तालाब बनाएंगे, जो ब्रह्मपुत्र की बाढ़ वो तालाबों के अंदर हम डाइवर्ट करेंगे और वहां से इरिगेशन भी होगा, शुद्ध पीने का जल भी मिलेगा और बाढ़ नियंत्रण भी हो जाएगा। दूसरा बहुत बड़ा क्षेत्र है बांस, कागज के उद्योग के लिए और बांस के उद्योगों के लिए ढेर सारी संभावनाएं वहां पड़ी है। भारत का बांस के उत्पादन का लगभग 60% हिस्सा पूर्वोत्तर में है और अब नरेंद्र मोदी सरकार ने बांस को खेती का स्टेटस दे दिया है। बांस काटने में किसी की वन विभाग की परमिशन की जरूरत नहीं है। इसके कारण बांस की खेती भी वहां बढ़ रही है। बांस से जुड़े हुए उद्योग भी वहां पर बहुत अच्छे तरीके से बढ़ सकते हैं और दुनिया भर में इसका आकर्षण है, देश भर में इसका आकर्षण है। वहां भी हम बहुत सारा निवेश आने की संभावना है। कुछ 1-2 साल के अंदर ही बांग्लादेश के साथ रेल से भी और रोड से भी उत्तर पूर्व का क्षेत्र जुड़ जाएगा। उसके बाद ढेर सारी संभावना ईस्ट में जाने की भी वहां बन रही है। वहां की जो इन्वेस्टमेंट पॉलिसीज हैं अलग अलग राज्यों की, वो भी काफी ल्यूक्रेटिव है और वहां सबसे बड़ी बात है कि अब वहां पर शांति स्थापित हो चुकी है, पॉलिटिकल स्टेबिलिटी आ चुकी है और पढ़ाई लिखाई के लिए भी वहां पर ढेर सारे इंस्टीट्यूशन बने हैं, जो बच्चों को एक अच्छी डिग्री लेकर आपको ट्रेन ह्यूमन रिसोर्स वहां से तैयारी में मिल सकता है। मित्रों, आज मैं ICC के सभी लोगों से बातचीत कर रहा हूं। मैं इतना जरूर कहना चाहूंगा कि प्रधानमंत्री जी का एक स्वप्न है आत्मनिर्भर भारत का। हम आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव में खड़े हैं। यहाँ से आजादी के 100 साल मतलब शताब्दी मनाने जाएंगे। जो लोग भी होंगे उनके लिए हमें रास्ता तैयार करना है। और ये अमृत महोत्सव में संकल्प का भी वर्ष है कि हम देश को जब शताब्दी मनाएंगे तब कहाँ ले जाकर खड़ा करेंगे। और देश को अगर उसका संपूर्ण विकास करना है तो देश के हर क्षेत्र के अंदर सम विकास होना चाहिए। मैं ये बात समझता हूँ कि पूंजी लगाना बहुत बड़ी बात होती है, पूंजी भावनाओं से नहीं लगती है, मगर मैं आपको विश्वास दिलाना चाहता हूं कि पूंजी लगाने के लिए जिस प्रकार का एटमॉस्फेयर बनाने की जरूरत है वो 7 साल से हम बना रहे हैं और अब हम बना चुके हैं। अगर अब आप नॉर्थ ईस्ट में जाते हो तो मैं आपको विश्वास दिलाता हूं कि पूंजी लगाने के सारे पैरामीटर से बाकी के देश के हिस्सों की तरह ही वो फुलफिल करता है, मगर जरूरत है हमारी नजर वहां जाने की। और आज मैं जिन लोगों से बात कर रहा हूं मुझे मालूम है वो बहुत बड़े कंट्रीब्यूटर है देश की इकोनॉमी में। एक बार आप नॉर्थ ईस्ट को अलग दृष्टि से देखिए, वहां आए हुए बदलाव को जानिए। आपकी कंपनियों में से कुछ लोगों को वहां भेजकर आए हुए बदलाव को जमीन पर कितना उतरा है उसको चेक भी कर लीजिए। परंतु मैं मानता हूं कि अब समय आ गया है नॉर्थ ईस्ट के अंदर इन्वेस्ट करने का, नॉर्थ ईस्ट को एम्पावर करने का, नॉर्थ ईस्ट को देश के साथ जोड़ने का और नॉर्थ ईस्ट के विकास को बूस्ट देने का समय आ गया है। और आईसीसी से बड़ा कोई फोरम हो नहीं सकता। मित्रों, मैंने असम के मुख्यमंत्री जी को कहा है, वहां पर भी एक वो समिट रखने वाला है मार्च महीने में। मैं चाहूंगा कि आईसीसी इसमें पार्टनर बने, मैं भी जाने वाला हूं, मगर एक अलग दृष्टिकोण आईसीसी ने नॉर्थ ईस्ट के लिए जरूर रखना चाहिए। एक चैप्टर भी अगर खोलना चाहे आप, एक कमिटी जैसा बनाकर कि वहां जो इन्वेस्ट करना चाहते हैं उनको गाइडेंस के लिए या उनको मदद करने के लिए, तो असम सरकार के नेतृत्व में 7 सरकारें इसके लिए आपकी सहायता भी करेगी। परंतु हमने प्रधानमंत्री जी ने जो पूर्व के विकास की कल्पना करी है उसको पूरा करना हम सबका दायित्व भी है और हम सबका फर्ज भी है। और मैं मानता हूं कि आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव में जो संकल्प सबको करना है, आईसीसी के सारे उद्योजक जो आज यहाँ पर उपस्थित है वो भी एक संकल्प करें कि नॉर्थ ईस्ट के विकास के अंदर हम कंट्रीब्यूट करेंगे, नॉर्थ ईस्ट को एम्पावर करने में हम हमारा योगदान देंगे और पूरे भारत के विकास को जिस तरह से आपने नर्स किया है नॉर्थ ईस्ट को भी नर्स करेंगे, ऐसी मुझे आप सबसे अपेक्षा है। मैं पर्सनली भी आ सकता था मगर आज वर्चुअल आना हुआ है। मुझे आशा है कि जब असम सरकार वहां पर पूरे नॉर्थ ईस्ट का इन्वेस्टमेंट समिट लीड करेगी उस वक्त आप लोगों को वहीं मिलना होगा और तब तक आपका एक चैप्टर, आपका एक कोई यूनिट ऐसा बनाइए जो वहां की जमीनी हकीकत और सारी संभावना इन्वेस्टमेंट की उसको तराश कर सभी के साथ साझा करें। फिर से एक बार ये मंच पर आपसे नॉर्थ ईस्ट की बात करने के लिए मौका दिया, इसके लिए आपका आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। वंदे मातरम।
सर मैं 1 सेकंड के लिए मेंशन करना चाहूंगा।
सर मैं बता
हाँ
सर, थैंक यू फॉर योर मोटिवेटिंग वर्ड्स। आवर फेथ इन योर गवर्नमेंट इज फर्दर स्ट्रेंथेंड आफ्टर लिसनिंग टू यू टुडे। एंड डॉक्टर सिंह जो बताना चाह रहे हैं हमें बताने में गर्व है। सर, आईसीसी इज ओनली चेंबर विद द लार्जेस्ट प्रेजेंस इन नॉर्थ ईस्ट। We have offices in Guwahati and Agartala and business councils in 7 states. हम लोग बहुत क्लोजली काम करते हैं गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडस्ट्री बांग्लादेश और म्यांमार के साथ में नॉर्थ ईस्ट के इंटरेस्ट को ध्यान रखते हुए। एंड सर वी इंटेंड टू डू मोर विथ योर गाइडेंस एंड लीडरशिप सर, उसमें हमें आपका गाइडेंस चाहिए सर।
और प्रेसिडेंट मैं इसमें ऐड करूं सर कि त्रिपुरा में एक त्रिपुरा इन्वेस्टमेंट समिट हो रहा है और चीफ मिनिस्टर इज एंकरिंग दैट and ICC is already a partner in this. But sir, with your vision, we want to do more and Assam investment event will be a big platform for us and we look forward to your support in that. Thank you, sir.
President sir, with your permission, may I? Sir, आप जब भी एड्रेस करते हैं तो बहुत प्रेरित करते हैं, उत्साहित करते हैं। मैं डिब्रूगढ़ से बोल रहा हूँ और मैं नॉर्थ ईस्ट के आईसीसी कमेटी के चेयरमैन हूँ और मैं डिब्रूगढ़ को ही बिलोंग करता हूँ, नॉर्थ ईस्ट को ही बिलोंग करता हूँ। सर 7 साल में आपने पूरा पिक्चर चेंज कर दिया। इन 2 साल के अंदर जो अभी कार्बी के साथ में हुआ, उसके साथ बोडो के साथ में हुआ, तो लगभग पूरे नॉर्थ ईस्ट में शांति आ गई। अभी आपके आने के पहले इंडस्ट्री मिनिस्टर आसाम के थे, वो बता रहे थे, अभी हम सबसे प्रॉब्लम पहले क्या हो रहा था कि यूनियन गवर्नमेंट हेल्प करना चाहती थी, लेकिन स्टेट गवर्नमेंट के पास कैपेबिलिटी नहीं थी। लेकिन इन 7 सालों में आपने हर एक स्टेट को इस पोजीशन में ले आया कि जो आप देना चाहते हैं वो लेने की संभावना उनके पास होगी, उनकी कैपेसिटी बढ़ा दी आपने। और आपने जो आपने कहा कि 7 स्टेट के अंदर में आपके जो बीजेपी के साथ में जुड़े हुए लोग हैं, तो उन्होंने हम लोगों को इतना ये मजबूत बना दिया है, जिससे कि जो आप गवर्नमेंट के इंडिया करना चाहते हैं वो करते हैं। तो आपको मैं नमन करता हूं सर, आपको बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूं कि आपने नॉर्थ ईस्ट के लिए इतना फोकस करके काम किया। और नॉर्थ ईस्ट, जैसा हमारे प्रेसिडेंट साहब ने कहा, हमारे गुवाहाटी में ऑफिस है, सिर्फ एक ही एपेक्स चैम्बर है इंडिया के जिसकी ऑफिस गुवाहाटी में है, और जो सभी स्टेटों में
Arya ji, thank you so much.
Yeah, honorable.
To intervene now. Honorable Minister, I am sure post-COVID, India will emerge as a driving force on the global stage. Corporate India firmly believes that no obstacle could stop the country from achieving its dream in the 21st century. Corporate India का दृढ़ विश्वास है कि 21वीं सदी में देश को अपने सपनों को हासिल करने से कोई बाधा नहीं रोक सकती। With these words, thank you very much, Honorable Amit Shah ji, for sharing your thoughts and views on Bharat at 75, empowering Northeast India today for better tomorrow, and laying out a future vision for India at 100 in 2047. May I now request our Senior VP, Mr. Pradeep Sureka, to present the vote of thanks. Mr. Sureka?
I think if his video has some issue, yeah, please.
I extend my sincere thanks to Shri Amit Bhai Shah, Honorable Minister, Home Affairs and Cooperation, Government of India, for being present today. The Minister, through his deliberations, provided us with rich insights about the futures of India. I want to take this opportunity to appreciate the efforts of the government in guiding the nation successfully through the pandemic. The government is taking all the right steps to develop the Northeast region of the country, with normalcy returning in the region. Thanks to the peace initiatives by the Honorable Minister, the region is gradually emerging as a growth engine of the country. You have already heard our involvement in the Northeast. We are personally taking a group of industrialists from across not only Bengal, but from other regions on 9th and 10th to Tripura. And we hope to create your vision, be part of your vision to create something big in Northeast. And we will start with Tripura, and we will definitely work very hard towards the Assam Business Summit, which you have suggested. I also laud the effort of the government's vaccination policy, through which India has been able to inoculate more than 118 crore doses of vaccine. India is on the verge of exporting vaccine again through its Vaccine Maitri initiative, thus making it the real Vishwaguru. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for being with us, sir.
President, would you like to announce the next session?
Yeah, we have a session at 4 o'clock with Mr. Bhupender Singh Yadav, Honorable Minister of Environment and Labour. And at 5 o'clock, we have a session with Vijay Shekhar Sharma, CEO Paytm. And it's an important announcement. Tomorrow, on a very special request,